Hello everybody, welcome to this new Astro Panel tutorial. I'm Emilio Fedele for astropanel.it. So in this tutorial we're going to go over the Fusion tab of Astro Panel 5.1. This is perhaps the most original part of Astro Panel. It contains a lot of features that help you photographers align and merge many pictures into one. So in this brief tutorial we're just going to go over what each sub-tab does in the panel. Okay, so we have the merge section. The merge section contains the most common types of image fusion methods, and these are developed from scratch and with proprietary code which we developed alone. Then we have the startrail section, which we're gonna see here right now, and this section adds up to hundreds of images to obtain beautiful star trail, which can be linear star trails, and the options here allow us to have different effects on the stars. Then we go on to the sky stack section. This sky stack section allows you to sum up images of the Milky Way and deep sky. And in this section you're allowed to insert light frames, so pictures of the actual Milky Way or sky object, then dark frames, those frames that allow you to reduce the noise, then bias and flat fields, and of course you have a lot of options to align your images. Then we go on to sky HDR. The Sky HDR allows you to blend up to 3 different exposures, and this is to expand the dynamic range of your image, and this is perhaps the most advanced feature of the panel. And finally we have the deep sky part of the fusion section. This one allows you to load multiple channels, images in multiple channels for you. So you have the luminosity channel, the red channel, green and blue, and then you can align them and stack them together. Okay, so in this video tutorial we're gonna go through how to merge some pictures using 2 different methods in the Fusion panel of Astro Panel 5.1. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to merge some pictures using the silk method. We want to blend some long exposures all together. So what we want to do first is we want to open the pictures in Adobe Camera Raw to make some basic adjustments. What we're going to do is we select our pictures and drag them onto Photoshop. What Photoshop is going to do is going to open them in Adobe Camera Raw. Once we do this, we select all the files and then we make the basic adjustments. So let's say we bring up the exposures a tad bit, and the highlights, we bring them down, and perhaps we open the blacks down here just a bit, and let's make some temperature adjustment just to make sure. Okay, so this looks good. Okay, so now that we have done these basic adjustments, we hit done and Photoshop will close the images. However, if you look at the folder, at the original folder of the pictures, you can see that it has created some XMP files. These files will be read by Fusion and will process these raw files using the information contained in these XMP files. Okay, so now let's go on to Fusion. Once we are in the Fusion tab and in the Merge tab, we select Load Files, and we go on to selecting our files, hit on Control and we select Open. Now, once we've loaded the files into the panel, we can select various ways that we can align the picture. Now here you're given two options, either tripod alignment or generic alignment. Both of them use the features contained in Photoshop. However, once the tripod alignment uses reposition instead of automatic, the generic alignment feature uses automatic alignment of the levels, which can be found in Edit and Automatic Level Alignment, which is not available right now because we don't have any layers to align. Okay, so once we've done that, we can select, in this case, generic, because the pictures we're taking by hand, we were hand holding the camera, and we select lens correction on because we want the file to correct for the distortions that happened when taking the picture, and we want to reduce the chromatic aberration of the picture. Once we've done that, then we select Silk and Astro Panel is going to do its magic. We're almost done. That's it. So once the alignment procedure is done, you get a message saying that the alignment procedure took 13 seconds in this case. It could be longer depending on your computer. Okay, so this is it for the merge section, for the silk effect. However, I want to show you now another feature, which is that of blending pictures in HDR. Okay, to do this, let's close this picture and let's load some more files. So in this case, I've already made the basic adjustments that we wanted to make in Adobe Camera Raw. Now we load the files, so we select them. And in this case we were using tripod, so I'm gonna switch the tripod alignment on, lens correction and chromatic aberration, I leave them as they are. And now I'm going to click on HDR here, and Fusion is going to do its magic again. Okay, so here we have our beautiful HDR picture processed. Okay, so now we're done with the alignments. I just want to mention that the alignment functions here, they both work in the same way in all the different options that you get in the merge panel here. So Silk HDR, Min Stack, Night HDR and Focus Stack all have the same feature when it comes to alignment of the images. Okay, in this new panel, in this new tutorial, we're going to go over the another feature of the fusion section of the panel. In particular, we're going to make a star trail from images that we already have, and I'm going to show you how to do so using the features of the panel. Okay, before doing this, I want to discuss with you what the options are in the panel itself. So as you can see at the top, we have selected Fusion and Star Trail. Right underneath it, we have 4 different options. We have light, dark, bias and flat. What these do, they allow us to load files for light, which are the actual pictures, then dark fields. These ones allow us to load the images to reduce noise, as well as the bias, and then we have flat fields that allow us to load flat fields should you have any. Underneath that, we have 5 different options that are related to how the software will align and blend these images. So the first one just does what it says on the tin. It allows you to decide whether you want to align your picture from a that has been taken from a tripod. Of course, for star trails, one usually does long exposures, and you want to align pictures that have been taken on a tripod. Then comet effect, what this does, you will see it later what it does, but essentially it creates the line is not continuous, but it makes like it adds a shooting star effect to the stars, and they will look like they're falling from the sky. The rotation direction is basically an option that allows us to invert the rotation of the stars, so it will look like rather than going from east to west, they will go from west to east. Chromatic aberration and lens correction, these two options allow us to remove any chromatic aberration and correct the distortions of that come from the lens itself. Okay, so having said this, now let's proceed on to blending some images. Okay, so we click on light, and as you can see here, we have a bunch of XMP files which have been generated from the fact that I've already made some basic adjustment through Adobe Camera Raw, as I showed in the previous tutorial from the merge section. Okay, so let's select our images. In this case, I'm going to select 40 images, and we click on open. Now let's select on for tripod alignment and comet effect. We're going to leave rotation direction on off. We're going to correct for chromatic aberration and the lens correction. So now we hit on blend and we let it work its magic. It's going to take, depending on the computer, some time. Let's see how long it takes here. Okay guys, so after 3 minutes and 9 seconds we have our beautiful star trail here. As you can see, the comet effect is precisely this effect here of a shooting star falling from the sky, and the rotation direction is off, so you can see that it starts thin and ends thick from in a clockwise direction. If we were to set this on, then the rotation would go in a clockwise, anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so what I want to show you now is the noise levels in the image. When we started with the images, we could see that there was a lot of noise due to the low light situation when the picture was taken in. However, once we've stacked and blended these images, we can look at the noise levels and we can see that it has disappeared. This is essentially due to the fact that we've stacked together lots and lots of images, and this improves, of course, the noise levels and the details and clarity of the picture. So, in this tutorial we're going to talk about another feature of the Fusion section. In particular, we're going to talk about sky stack. What this allows to do is to stack multiple images of the Milky Way or any other sky object and blend them into one picture. Of course, you can do this in any external software, but the powerful thing about Astro Panel is that it allows you to align them very precisely without the help of any other external software. In this case, what we're going to do, we're just going to load some light frames. We're not going to bother with dark frames, bias, and flat fields. But of course, if you have any of these files, feel free to load them in SkyStack Fusion Astro Panel 5.1. Okay, so in this case, we're going to load some light frames. As you can see, we have some XMP files. This is because we've done some basic adjustments inside of Adobe Camera Raw. You can see how this is done in the tutorial for the merge feature of Fusion. Okay, so let's select the files and let's load them in. Now here we have a series of options. We have alignment, alignment helper, and dual pass alignments. These features allow us to, of course, align the pictures. What happens is that we can select on and we can choose to have them on and off independently. The dual pass alignment feature is a tool that you can only find in Astro Panel 5.1, and it has been developed with proprietary code. And it is a very powerful feature. In this tutorial, we're going to explore how to use this dual pass alignment and how to set everything up to get the best results. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to toggle on alignment and dual pass alignment. Sometimes we can also toggle on alignment helper. However, you have to be aware that sometimes Photoshop will close Astro Panel 5.1 and will show you the startup of Photoshop, the startup screen of Photoshop. This is because Photoshop is not communicating, let's put it this way, well with Astro Panel 5.1. Anyway, so we have selected dual pass alignment. Now let's get to the meat of the thing. So we click on place. All these other features here, we're going to discuss them just now. So let's click on place. What this does is it allows us to choose a part of the image that contains the most useful information for the software to align all the pictures. Okay, so of course you can choose the area width inside the panel, and you can see it here, area width. You have to be aware that the bigger the area, the longer it will take for the computer to process the alignment. In this case, we're just going to leave it at 125 pixels. We're going to move it to a place that it's light enough for us. In this case, bright enough for us. In this case, it's here. This is an Altair. And we're going to now select the threshold. What the threshold is basically an option that tells the software, don't align anything that is below this threshold, okay? This threshold of luminosity. To set this, we need to go on to Image, Adjustments, and Threshold. And let's zoom in on this picture. As you can see, if I move this slider up and down, we can see more white appearing in the area. However, we want less light, because the less white parts we have here, it tells us look for everything that is white. So you have less information and more information that the panel can use to align the pictures. In this case, we're going to bring it up a little bit. Let's say 130, 132 should do. What you want to do is you want to have mostly circular shapes around your stars, okay? So in this case, 132 should be fine. Let's hit on OK. Once we've seen this this number, let's keep it in mind, and we want to put this in threshold here. As you can see, we have this option of threshold. Let's bring this up to 131, 132, doesn't really matter. The alignment and radius are two options that tells us how many pixels you want to align around the areas and how wide do you want the action to be. So in this case, the radius 45 pixels is telling us look inside the radius of 45 pixels around the pixels that you have spotted inside the file. Okay, once we have selected everything, we're going to hit on lens correction on, chromatic aberration on, confirm, and then you see the image disappear, but don't worry, we just start the process by hitting start, and now Fusion will work its magic. I want to say that the same procedure works also for Sky HDR. In Sky HDR, however, you can align multiple files and then blend them into one HDR file. You can do this with file set 1, 2, and 3. What you get at the end of this, you get a file with a wider dynamic range. Okay, so if you want to work with files which have a lot of dynamic range, you can do this. You can perform exactly the same functions using Sky HDR. Okay, now that we have the script alert, it's telling us what happened. So here it's telling us two things. The first thing is how long it took the software to align the pictures, and the second information is how many pictures have been discarded from the process. In this case, we have discarded 0 pictures, and so the 5 pictures that we started with have been aligned all together. You know, if you look at other software, external software from other companies, for instance, the time that it takes to align pictures is usually halved in Fusion with respect to other software. Another thing that I want to mention is that, of course, if the discarded files are too many with respect to the files that you've input in the blending phase, you may want to repeat the procedure. But if you do this correctly, the number of files discarded is 0 or maybe 1. Okay. In this tutorial, we're just going to briefly look at how to use the Deep Sky merging option inside the Fusion section of Astro Panel 5.1. This section allows us to blend multiple images that have been taken using luminance and RGB colors, or luminance and RGB, or luminance and H-alpha files. This is for more advanced Deep Sky shooters. So in this tutorial, we're just gonna look at the alignment of 3 files for the red, green, and blue channel. So what we're going to do, as usual, is we're going to select the files for the red channel. In this case, we have a Crescent Nebula file picture that we want to align. So we have the red channel here, we select it. Then we have a green channel, we select the green channel, and the blue channel here. Once we have done this, then we can select whether we want to align or not these images. Of course, we want to align them. And the next option is whether you want to let the program decide how to align the pictures, or if you just want to reposition the pictures and align them like this. The third and last option is basically tells the software how many times it should try and align these pictures to have a very precise alignment final image. In this case, we're just going to leave it with 3. So once we've done this, let's hit on start, and it will take a little bit of time, but at the end, there we go. So the picture is aligned, and now we're ready to work with it inside the Astro section of our plugin. Okay, thank you very much for today. Bye.